I like my family, my kids, and my life. I wish that were more private. I don't know how many people really want to be sort of scrutinized in that way.
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's divorce seemed straightforward. He drank, she left, they co-parent. Simple story. But 7 years later, Affleck can't keep quiet anymore. In 2025, he made an admission that stunned Hollywood. The real reason their marriage ended had nothing to do with alcohol or affairs. Garner knew this secret the whole time. She protected him by staying silent. What Affleck finally revealed explains why she really filed for divorce, and why she still helps him today. The truth will shock you. Ben Affleck was born on August 15, 1972, in Berkeley, California, at Alta Bates Summit Medical Center. His full name was Benjamin Geza Affleck Bolt. His mother, Chris Ann Bolt, had studied at Harvard and worked as a teacher, while his father, Timothy Byers Affleck, chased dreams of writing and acting. But dreams didn't pay the bills, so when Ben was just 3 months old, the family packed up and moved across the country to Falmouth, Massachusetts. That same town saw the birth of Ben's younger brother, Casey, in 1975. The Affleck household always had the smell of books and the sound of plays being read aloud. Chris would quote Shakespeare at night. Tim brought home theater scripts. But there was also drinking. Tim couldn't hold steady jobs and bounced between carpentry and custodial work at Harvard. They kept moving, through towns, through apartments, trying to find something that stuck. Even with all the instability, the creative spark stayed lit. Ben was just a kid when he sat quietly backstage watching Boston actors rehearse. That curiosity never left. By 1983, when Ben was 11, his parents made the split official. The drinking had taken its toll, and Chris had been holding everything up for too long. She moved Ben and Casey into a small place in Cambridge. Her teacher's paycheck barely stretched. There were food stamps, hand-me-down clothes, and not much room. But she never let go of the arts. She pushed Ben to keep performing, even when their world felt like it was falling apart. Ben got his first big chance at just 7 years old. In 1984, he was cast in the PBS series The Voyage of the Mimi. It wasn't just pretend. It had real scientists, real expeditions, and a kid actor trying to remember complicated dialogue about whales and sonar. That show didn't just air in one town, it aired everywhere. Kids from all over the country saw Ben on screen. That same year, while the show made its debut, his parents' divorce reshaped his life. His weekends were split between a cluttered apartment filled with unsold scripts and a modest home where every dollar counted. 2 years later, when he was 14, Ben starred in Wanted, The Perfect Guy, an ABC after-school special. It tackled peer pressure and identity, topics Ben understood more than people knew. He was already used to walking into rooms full of strangers, already learning how to switch masks depending on who was watching. That role proved he could do more than memorize lines. He could feel them. Around that time, things got harder at home. Tim moved to Los Angeles, chasing one more screenwriting dream. Chris tried homeschooling Ben to help him manage the growing pressure of acting jobs and a competitive school system. It gave him flexibility, but it also made him feel cut off, different. Acting became more than a hobby. It became a way to keep going. By 1989, Ben stepped onto the set of The Flash. It wasn't a blockbuster, but it had action scenes, stunts, real crews. He was just 17, but already more seasoned than some of the adults around him. That same year, he appeared in Field of Dreams, playing a younger version of Kevin Costner's character. He studied every movement, trying to mimic Costner perfectly. It was just a few flashback scenes, but they required long days and real discipline. Ben met Matt Damon back in 1984 at Cambridge Rindge and Latin School. Both were 12, both loved drama class. They bonded over improvisation, local slang, and the idea that maybe they could do this thing together. They wrote skits, they studied scenes, and later they moved to Los Angeles with barely enough money to eat. Ramen noodles, shared rooms, and a lot of rejection. They auditioned for over 100 small parts. Some jobs paid, most didn't. But every no pushed them to write their own yes. Ben dropped out of the University of Vermont after just one semester in 1991. He wanted to act. Nothing else fit. The struggle became fuel. He and Matt knew they had something to say, and eventually that something became Good Will Hunting. But before that script changed their lives, Ben played a quarterback named Chris Reese in School Ties in 1992. It was a role filled with tension. He had to bully a Jewish classmate, shout cruel words. It wasn't just acting. Ben tapped into what he'd seen growing up in Cambridge, the way rich kids looked down on others, the invisible lines drawn between neighborhoods. Somewhere in that early rise came a harsh lesson. During the voyage of the Mimi, a tabloid printed a rumor about Ben having a fling with a 15-year-old co-star. He was just 12. He denied it, but the damage was done. It was his first taste of what it meant to be famous, even a little. That people would make stories out of shadows, and those shadows could follow you for years. In 1992, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were broke, living in a cramped Los Angeles basement, and trying to stay afloat as struggling actors. They started writing the first 40 pages of Good Will Hunting with no money, no backing, just a story shaped by their own lives. What began as a one-act play slowly turned into something much bigger. Over 3 long years, they rewrote the script again and again, sharpening every scene and pushing deeper into the emotional weight of the characters. They didn't do it alone. Terrence Malick stepped in and told them the story would feel stronger if Will didn't chase Skylar at the end. That idea shifted everything. The emotional core of the film began to form around loss, choice, and staying true to yourself. Then came William Goldman. He stripped away 60 pages of action fluff and told them the heart of the movie was the bond between Will and his therapist, Sean Maguire. That focus changed the tone. Rob Reiner also weighed in and pushed for more clarity in the emotional turns. These behind-the-scenes mentors took a raw draft and shaped it into something honest. When it came time to sell the script in 1994, Castle Rock agreed, but only gave them 6 months to get another studio if they wanted full control. It nearly fell apart. The deal almost died until Kevin Smith passed it to Miramax. That move saved the film. In 1997, Gus Van Sant came on as director, and the casting process began. Affleck landed the role of Chucky Sullivan, but the part wasn't easy. He spent weeks training his voice, listening to South Boston locals, working to get the dialect right. He didn't want to sound like a tourist. He wanted to sound like he lived there his whole life. The studio had doubts about casting 2 unknowns as leads, but Damon and Affleck's chemistry won out. Robin Williams, Minnie Driver, and Stellan Skarsgård joined the cast, and the film started to take real shape. The scene that hit hardest came late in production. Chucky tells Will that the best part of his day is the 10 seconds when he walks up to his door and hopes Will's gone. That scene wasn't scripted word for word. They shot it on a rainy night. It took 12 takes. Affleck was improvising, channeling every fear he had of being stuck in one place, never making it out. The words came from him, not just the script. Damon cried on set. Van Sant didn't stop him. The crew stayed silent. Everyone felt it. That one monologue captured the entire spirit of the movie, and it stayed in. Then came March 1998, the 70th Academy Awards. Good Will Hunting won Best Original Screenplay. Affleck and Damon walked up, just two kids who used to write in a basement. They thanked their moms for believing in what they called their delusional dreams. That speech stuck. It wasn't about showing off, it was about the journey. And the whole room felt it. Few people knew that before all this, they had turned down a $1 million advance because they wanted to keep creative control. It was a bold move. The money could have changed their lives, but they held on to the script. They had already sold it for $600,000, but after taxes and agent cuts, not much was left. They blew it fast. A Jeep, a party house near the Hollywood Bowl. 6 months later, they were broke again. But when Good Will Hunting finally hit theaters, it grossed $225 million worldwide. That one risk made them legends. After that, Affleck's career moved fast. In Armageddon later in 1998, he played AJ, a roughneck sent to space. The filming was brutal. 16-hour days in zero-gravity simulators. During one rehearsal, the harness glitched, leaving him dangling for 45 minutes, body aching, sweating through the wires. That kind of physical stress became part of his rhythm. He took the hits and kept going. By 2000, he was filming Bounce with Gwyneth Paltrow. They played lovers haunted by loss, but the emotion bled off screen too. They had been dating on and off, but fame started pulling them apart. When Paltrow won the Oscar for Shakespeare in Love, the media spotlight grew blinding. Friends said Affleck seemed distant. He was drinking more. He wanted to keep things together, but it was slipping. Their real chemistry helped the movie, but behind closed doors, their bond cracked. By 1999, it was over. Then came Pearl Harbor in 2001. Affleck played Rafe McCauley, a Wabitui pilot. The production was massive. Over 20 restored warplanes flew low over Hawaiian waters. But during a stunt, one of the planes crashed. 3 crew members were injured, and filming paused for 2 days. Safety became a top concern. The studio pushed forward. The aerial dogfights and love triangle drama became part of an epic wartime story, but the pressure behind the scenes was real. In 2003, he tried again with Paycheck, a sci-fi thriller. It flopped. Rotten Tomatoes gave it just 27% from 153 reviews. The story fell flat. Critics panned it. It shook his confidence. Years earlier, he had passed on The Matrix. He didn't want to overdo sci-fi roles. In 2010, he called that his biggest regret. Watching The Matrix become a global hit stung, especially after Paycheck crumbled. Back in 1999, on the set of Dogma, Affleck's drinking had already started to spiral. He played Bartleby, a fallen angel. But behind the camera, he was sneaking flasks. Night shoots in Pittsburgh were cold and long. Fame was rising fast, and so was the pressure. He checked into rehab in 2001. 30 days. His family had a history with alcohol. He didn't hide it. That early admission of addiction would become part of his story for years to come. Ben Affleck didn't ease into directing. He hit the streets of Boston hard in 2007 with Gone Baby Gone, his first feature as a director. It wasn't a cushy studio setup. He and his team scouted more than 85 real locations across the city, pulling off all that in just 10 days. They didn't build sets. They shot where the story lived. Murphy's Law Bar on Summer Street, a house on Pond Street in Dorchester, even the Quincy Quarries. This wasn't about style for style's sake. It was about truth. He cast his own brother, Casey Affleck, in the lead, leaned into natural lighting, and let the raw texture of Boston do the talking. The result was a film that only cost a few million, but brought back $34.6 million worldwide. The ending didn't offer comfort. It left people torn, arguing about right and wrong long after the credits. It wasn't just a good debut, it was a warning shot. Affleck was serious. That seriousness bled into every frame. Affleck didn't fake the police side of the story either. He brought in real Boston cops, especially ones who knew the pain of child abduction cases. He grilled them about everything, from the layout of interrogation rooms to how they broke suspects down. That attention showed in every scene. When a child goes missing in the movie, you feel it in your bones. But the kid actors were never pushed too far. Affleck hired trained coaches to guide them through it safely. The realism came from control, not chaos. Even the squad cars were real. The result wasn't glossy. It was something else. It felt lived in, and it earned the film a reputation for brutal honesty over clean storytelling. By 2010, Affleck returned with The Town, this time telling a heist story wrapped in loyalty, desperation, and history. It cost $37 million to make and pulled in $154 million worldwide. That was a 125% return, rare for a slow-burn crime film. But it wasn't luck. The FBI shut down his request to film inside actual Charlestown vaults, so the team rebuilt them, bolt for bolt, on sound stages. The actors weren't guessing either. They sat with real bank robbers, learning how they moved, talked, and planned. One of the biggest sequences, set inside Fenway Park, took 10 days to shoot. The tension didn't come from effects. It came from the clock ticking. Everything was filmed in real time. It showed. But making The Town nearly collapsed when Affleck clashed with his cinematographer. They couldn't agree on how the city should look. One wanted Hollywood shine. Affleck wanted Boston's bruises to show. So he fired him. Mid-production. It was risky. He brought in Robert Elswit instead, a longtime collaborator who'd earned his name shooting There Will Be Blood. Elswit filled the screen with moody neon and shadow, and that visual punch helped land the film a 94% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. People noticed. Critics knew the story was strong, but the way it looked made it unforgettable. Affleck didn't stop at lighting. He took control of the sound, too. He dropped $2 million of his own money into post-production. He wanted the gunfire to echo the way it did in real Boston robberies. So they went to local ranges, shot live rounds, and built every sound from scratch. It paid off. The Oscar nomination for Best Sound Editing wasn't handed to the film. It was earned. Every detail was deliberate. Affleck wasn't making action films. He was making memories that hit you in the gut. When he put on the cape in Batman v Superman in 2016, the transformation wasn't just emotional. It was physical. He ballooned up to 215 pounds, eating 3,000 calories a day and lifting like a machine. His trainer ran him through heavy deadlifts and strict cardio for 5 months. He looked like Batman, but inside, Affleck was torn. He fought hard with director Zack Snyder over the core of the character. Snyder wanted a darker, lethal Batman. Affleck saw him as a line-holding hero. They argued a lot. The struggle seeped into the film. Some fans embraced the brooding tone. Others rejected it. Affleck was stuck between the vision and the legend. Then came Justice League. What should have been a triumph became unbearable. Snyder's daughter died tragically, and he stepped down. Whedon stepped in. Affleck was already breaking under the strain of his divorce from Jennifer Garner, and now the film began crumbling too. He was shooting scenes for 18 hours straight, barely sleeping. He was emotionally hollow, physically burned out, and the tone kept shifting. What started as Snyder's gritty epic turned into something awkward and mismatched. Affleck said it himself. It was one of the darkest chapters of his life. That chapter came to a head when he walked away from directing The Batman in 2017. Publicly, he said it was personal. Privately, it was survival. The darkness of the script was feeding into his own. He entered rehab, battling alcoholism and depression. The Batman script was making it worse. He couldn't live in that headspace anymore. So he let go. Warner Brothers brought in Matt Reeves. The direction changed. Affleck's time in the Batcave was done, and he admitted that stepping away probably saved his life. But even after he walked away, the noise followed him. In 2021, a forgotten audio recording from a 2010 GMA interview suddenly leaked. In it, Affleck was yelling at a producer about sloppy sound quality. It was raw, it was angry, and it was real. The media twisted it into another Affleck meltdown, but to some, it was a rare peek into the pressure he carried every day. The expectations, the labels, the narratives, none of them came from him. They came from people who wanted a version of him that never truly existed. That leak didn't destroy him. It showed he was human, flawed, tired, cornered. By 2023, Affleck's final curtain as Batman came in The Flash. His role lasted just 10 days on set. But the paycheck didn't reflect that. He earned $25 million for those 10 days. That number said it all. The superhero world is profitable, but it's rarely peaceful. Affleck was done. The suit came off. And with it, a chapter that tested every part of him. Mind, body, soul. Fans saw a multiverse cameo. Affleck saw a door closing. He didn't walk away angry. He walked away knowing he gave everything and got lost in the process. Ben Affleck first met Jennifer Garner in 2000 on the set of Pearl Harbor. He was playing a World War II pilot, and she had a small role as a nurse. They didn't fall for each other right away. Both were seeing other people. But 3 years later, on the set of Daredevil, things changed. They were cast as love interests, and the connection between them started to grow off-camera too. Garner later said he was tall, dark, and handsome. Their first real date was at a Boston Celtics game in 2003. It wasn't glamorous, but it was them. Both were from working-class towns, Affleck from Cambridge and Garner from Charleston, West Virginia. They didn't care much for Hollywood sparkle. They just wanted something real. On June 29, 2005, they slipped away to Turks and Caicos. The wedding was secret, small, with only 30 people around. But Affleck forgot the wedding bands, so they used hotel keycards instead. It didn't matter. It was personal and quiet, just how they liked it. 6 months later, on December 1, 2005, their daughter Violet was born. Affleck decided to take paternity leave. He stayed home, watched diaper tutorials on YouTube, and tried to be a hands-on dad. Garner was filming Alias and juggling newborn life. They took turns, helped each other, and tried to stay out of the spotlight. But in 2007, everything started to shake. A tabloid broke a story about the nanny, Christine Uzunian. She claimed she'd had a secret relationship with Affleck. She said there were hotel visits, text messages, even private moments at Hotel Bel Air. Garner reportedly found out during a trip to the Bahamas. The story exploded. Affleck's team denied everything and later paid $500,000 in a private settlement. After that, they tightened security, locked down privacy, and tried to protect the kids from the noise. By 2009, Affleck was directing The Town. He worked in Los Angeles, but made the set feel like home. He brought in extras who reminded him of his old neighborhood in Boston. He'd bring the kids to set and turn it into a playground. He did FBI research, talked to real bank robbers, and still made time for family. Garner was pregnant again, and they were trying hard to make it all work. But in 2015, the cracks were too deep to hide. While filming Batman v Superman, Affleck was drinking heavily. In a 2018 interview, he admitted he drank a bottle of scotch every night. He'd sit alone and try to push away the pain. Their relationship had already started breaking apart back in 2013. But it wasn't until June 30th, 2015, that they told the world. Garner started attending Al-Anon meetings. She wanted to understand what he was going through. She was tired and hurt, but she didn't give up on him. That same year, they told People magazine it was over. They'd tried counseling, tried keeping it together for the kids, but it didn't work. In 2021, Affleck said his addiction had buried any chance they had of reconnecting. He felt ashamed. They both did. But they didn't want the kids to live in a house full of tension. In 2016, Affleck opened up even more during an interview with Howard Stern. He said he felt trapped by the pressures of being a dad. He used alcohol to avoid bedtime stories and the chaos of home life. It was hard to hear, but it was honest. Garner had driven him to rehab more than once. Even when she was exhausted, she stood by him. Their family did interventions. They still believed he could pull through. On October 28, 2018, the divorce was finalized. It had taken 2 years. Affleck agreed to pay $100,000 a month in child support. They got joint custody of Violet, Serafina, and Samuel. He said later that it was mutual. They didn't want their kids growing up in a home where love had turned into cold silence. They chose peace instead. The media was everywhere, but they stayed quiet. They kept showing up for the kids. In 2019, Affleck relapsed while filming The Way Back. He blacked out on set. Garner stepped in again. She helped him get through another rehab stay. They never stopped working as a team when it came to the children. Even when the cameras followed them to school drop-offs or rehab centers, they didn't let it get in the way of co-parenting. In March 2025, Affleck told GQ that his breakup with Jennifer Lopez wasn't about scandal. She had filed for divorce on August 20th, 2024. They'd separated months earlier, on April 26th, and finalized it in January 2025. He said they simply grew apart. The pressure from the media didn't help. He tried to protect their story, but it only made things harder. That same year, he said the HBO documentary didn't reveal any deep secrets. It just showed what real couples go through. Later in 2025, he appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live and talked about Garner again. He called her wonderful. He said she'd helped him get sober back in 2018 and never stopped supporting him. Violet was 19 now, Serafina 16, and Samuel 13. Since 2020, they'd been co-parenting so smoothly that they even spent Thanksgiving together. In October, they were spotted at a Red Sox game. Then again at a homeless shelter, working side by side. Affleck said co-parenting with her was the joy of his life. In October 2025, Affleck and Lopez showed up together at the New York premiere of Kiss of the Spider-Woman, a musical remake Lopez had starred in and Affleck's company had produced. It was their first public appearance post-divorce. They walked the carpet together. It was awkward, but it was real. He praised her positivity and said she'd always been a light in his life. Then he said something else. He called Garner his true anchor. Not because they were together, but because they had something that lasted beyond romance. Affleck's career had already been bouncing back. In 2022, he and Matt Damon launched Artist Equity. Their first film, Air, came out in 2023 and grossed $90,060,106 on a $90 million budget. Affleck directed it. He said his sobriety since 2018 helped him stay focused. He wanted to tell real stories again, with real control. In 2025, he told Elle that being honest with himself and with Garner had opened doors he never thought possible. In a Vanity Fair profile that same year, Affleck looked back. He said most of what people believed about their split was just noise. He and Garner had taken their time. They changed. They grew in different directions. But she helped him grow into the father he always wanted to be. He said he'd pick family therapy over any big role. He regretted how the world saw their end, but not the life they had built, not the children they raised, not the lessons they learned together.